Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Mia Boostrom.
And I'm Jillian Jensen.
And welcome to Exit Interview.
Be sure to check us out on Instagram, which is just Exit Interview Podcast.
Yeah, and you can also check us out on almost every streaming site, Spotify, Anchor FM, and many, many more. So keep on listening.
The thing is, the three people that stayed and the three people that went home were both two teams that could have won the show easily. Like, they were like the best two teams on the whole show. The three that stayed and three that went home for Team Adam, because it was you and Reed and Drew.
Yep.
Which is like, holy shit, did they go home? And then it was like Rayshawn and Shireen, and who else was it?
Jackie Verna.
And Jackie Verna. It was also like, oh my god.
Right. I think it was so different. Like, I think that Rayshawn, Shireen, and Jackie were all these like powerhouse vocalists that could do all those like, you know, things that we were talking about before. It's like, that's kind of what people look for on those shows, or things that they know that they couldn't do. And that was the three of them. Like, there are things, I've actually had the opportunity of being able to work with Rayshawn after the show. He's like done a few gigs with me and all this stuff. And that man takes over the stage like no one that I have ever seen before.
He's amazing.
Before. He's unbelievable. So that, I felt like they were like this unobtainable group, you know, for Shireen to come out singing the Greatest Showman song. Unbelievable. And then me, Reed, and Drew, I felt were a completely different thing. We were like the bluesy, singer-songwritery, Alan Stone loving people. So it was a completely different thing. So I think that Adam either went one way or went the other way. I think that he couldn't take one from the three of us, and he couldn't take one away from the three of them.
That makes sense. That was just a devastating night. It's so funny because, like, you start thinking about The Voice and you remember everything, but if somebody asks you about it just off the cuff, it's such a blur. Like, it's hard for me to remember anything that happened until I start talking about it, and then it's like, oh.
And then it's like it was yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. That's why those experiences are so dangerous, because it's such like you're going through a life-changing experience with people who you will likely never see again. That's the thing.
It's very, very sad.
It's very sad. Yeah, come see me. Literally, like, I always tell everybody, I will like get back in touch with them, and I'm like, please come to LA. You can sleep on my couch, and we can just, I will show you around, and we can go get lunch and write songs. I literally tell everybody this. I'm going to text Reed. Obviously, the invitation is extended to you, but I'm going to text Reed and ask him to come sleep on my couch, because I feel like I would like walk out in the middle of the night to get like some water, and he would just be floating over the couch, just immaculately clothed, full like garments and whatnot, just like this white linen, just arms outstretched, just floating.
I can't wait for him to listen to this.
You know what's funny is Reed texted me this morning saying how much he loved that we were doing a podcast.
No, then you gotta tell him to listen.
So he's gonna be on the show next week, and I can't wait for him to listen to this. It's gonna be fantastic.
It's gonna be amazing. And do you think he sings in his sleep? I mean, I'm pretty sure he does.
He snores, but it's like,
yes.
Oh my god. Wait, who did that? Who's that guy that does he does comedy videos? He's from Massachusetts, but he does those comedy videos where he's like talking about like girls in fall, and he's like, oh my god, well, I need a spice pumpkin, whatever.
Trey Kennedy?
Trey Kennedy. Oh my flipping god. He did a thing where it was like singers doing, yes, and it was like him snoring. He's like, ah. I'm like, what the?
That's Reed.
Really well.
Like, he's so good.
That's Reed.
Oh
it's like all Laurel Canyon stuff. Like, I feel like he sings in quotes. You know, like Reed makes you want to tattoo every word he sings on your arms. I freaking love Reed.
Damn.
I forgot how much I loved him.
The episode is going to be like, this interview is with Britton Buchanan. He loves Reed.
It should be. Yeah, but it's because I've haven't talked about Reed in like 3 years. And so it's just all this built up love that's just oozing out.
I think what we need to do, right? Or we still have the season 14, like, you know, everybody has each other's numbers, right? I think what we should do is rent an Airbnb in like Wyoming, and everybody flies out.
Like a destination.
Middle of nowhere.
Like we go to like a dude ranch, all of us just to go there.
I'm inviting myself.
That's when we get there, and then we all realize that we hate each other, and we're like, how did this work before?
It only works when we're competing.
Yeah, it only worked when we were competing. I don't like you guys. I think that's what happens, I think.
And then all of a sudden you go from thinking that Reed levitates in his sleep to Reed like snores profusely.
Oh yeah,
and
no, it just ruins it.
scratch and like nails at a fucking chalkboard and shit.
We find out that he's just a slob, a bum. He doesn't shower. He doesn't shower, and he like walks around in his underwear and like chain smokes all day, and like goes through a bottle of Jack every day, and he's just piss drunk, and he's like throwing things at people. That's gonna be what we find out.
That's gonna be the flip. That'll be the flip
Right.
right there.
I don't
It's
know.
always-
I
that's how it works.
still think that would be fun. I would love to just see everybody again.
You know, it would be so nice because who have I seen? I've seen Jackie. I've seen Austin. I've seen Christiana, who
Oh,
I adore. I've seen Jackie Foster. I've seen Alexa, and I've seen Spinsha. But that's it.
Really?
That's it.
You haven't seen Drew? He lives in LA.
Oh, I have seen Drew. I lied to you. Drew and I actually went to. You remember when Jussie Smollett said that he got attacked in Chicago? The Empire actor who said that.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, they were like, oh, maybe that didn't happen. But 4 days after he said that he got attacked, he did a show at the Troubadour, and Drew and I went together. It was like a solidarity kind of thing. And we found ourselves, like, I had never been to the Troubadour before, and we were just walking around, and we walked into, like, the friends and family box, not knowing what we were doing. And we were just, like, standing there. There was this lady there that I recognized. I couldn't place her. And I was like, hey, how are you? And she was like, oh, I'm good. How are you? And I was like, who is this person? Who is this person? And then they told us we had to leave because that was a friends and family box, and we were not friends or family.
Walk into it. There's no.
You find yourself inside
walk into it.
You just walk right into it. And then Drew's girlfriend, who was doing PR for Jesse at the time, after we left, we were eating at Dantana's, and she was like, oh, did you know that person you were standing beside? I'm like, I know who this is. I don't know where she's from. And she was like, oh, well, that was Congresswoman Maxine Waters. And I was like, oh my God. That's why I know who she was, because all of these books are about politics. And so, like, I just like to read about politics. And I was like, that was freaking Maxine Waters. And we were just standing beside Maxine Waters for like 5 minutes before they kicked us out. And I think that might have been the last time I saw Drew. It's because maybe it's because I got him kicked out of the friends and family.
I think he spends a lot of quarantine in Florida. So
oh, yeah?
Why you guys haven't ran into each other since then.
You know, I lived with my cousin at the start of moving into LA until December of 2019. I met my roommate in March of 2019. He's also from North Carolina, from the same town as me. Actually, we had never met each other. He's also a musician. A friend was like, you guys should meet. So we had lunch, and we kind of just were like, oh, we have the same interests. We both like scary movies. We both like the same 80s movies and whatever. So we were like, oh, when I move out of my cousin's at the end of the year, I'll move in with you. So we moved in here in December of 2019. The pandemic hit in March of 2020, just 3 months later, and he flew home to help with his family's business for 2 months. So I was in LA, having just moved into my own apartment alone at 20 years old for like 2 months. I have two of my best friends, Kelly and Red, who are life partners. Kelly is from Houston. Red is from 20 minutes from where I grew up in North Carolina. Again, didn't know him until I moved out here. Red is older than me by a significant amount, so we would have not run into each other. But I ended up, sleeping at their house every other night and quarantining with them when my roommate flew back for 2 weeks, just sleeping on their couch and everything. We spent quarantine together. But it's an intimidating thing. This last year has been a very trying, intimidating process of like, you find out how you operate. I felt like I was on The Voice again, actually. I was like, when does the van pick me up? I can't go anywhere. When does the van pick me up to take me to Universal? I live literally 5 minutes from Universal, so I was like,
go to Ralph's for your groceries.
Oh my God. So like every time we go into that like Walmart Target parking lot, I like twitch. And I'm just like, oh. I get PTSD flashbacks. I'm like, I just remember being here with my grandmother, and like you could only be in the store for 30 minutes, and we had to get all of our groceries and look at all of our things. We were rushing out. We had to get back to the van. So it's like every time I walk in,
I'll get my groceries so quickly.
Probably so. You literally like 30 minutes. The van gets there, you get out, 30 minutes, you have to leave. And it's like, I feel like I start sweating when I walk into Target now. I'm like, I got to get out of here soon, man. They're going to leave me here. Yeah. And Steven's like, we drove. What are you talking about? Let's just take our time. And I'm like, no, we have to be back. We have to be back. Great. Now we have 27 minutes, Steven. Jesus Christ.
How dare you waste one of my minutes?
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, there goes the water. We can't get water now because you talked over it. We lost that. Yeah, it's one of those things.
Did you guys get enough snacks that you can leave in your hotel room?
Oh my God. When I left my hotel room, it looked like somebody bombed it. It was just awful. It was just like Reese's peanut butter cups wrappers and like books and all of these candy and chips.
You
and
never eat Panda Express again.
No, you can't. You can't. It's awful. And I live near a Panda Express and I just want to burn it down.
Literally.
I want to burn it down.
Every book of 50 Shades of Grey. And they're like, oh, Britton, what are you reading this shit for?
It was a dark period. You don't understand.
Lonely times, everybody.
I didn't see another human for 4 months. What did you want me to read?
I at least need to use my imagination.
Right.
These are chick books. No, they're not.
They're for anyone.
You thought I was going to read The Scarlet Letter? Hell no. This isn't To Kill a Mockingbird.
Or like he's like 1984, George Orwell, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, how about you shove Pride and Prejudice up your ass, all right? I'm reading what I want to read.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Oh
my gosh.
Brandon, I don't even know you, but I adore you.
Oh, thank you. I adore you too,
I
Jillian.
adore you.
I'm saying at this point, me and you need to take a trip to LA.
Listen,
Let's do it.
And we're gonna, somebody's gonna crash on the couch. I'll bring an airbed.
I could just stay down the street in Glassell Park at my old place.
Oh, there you go.
I still have my futon there.
You still have a foot.
Still there.
Oh, this is so cathartic. I feel like, I always call it shared trauma. It's not really, it wasn't traumatic for me. I had a great experience, but
I agree with you, because that's why we started this podcast. Because I was like, you know what? You know how many people like we know combined that have been through the same thing that we don't necessarily ever really get to like go back down memory lane because you're by yourself and like no one else that you're friends with really in the same area has shared the experience with you.
right. Yeah. We've never had the time to like process it. Like, I feel like, you can't do this, but I feel like, I'm like, oh, wow, wouldn't it have been great if they would have just gotten all of us back and just put us in a room and said, talk about it.
Just,
Yeah.
Just talk about it.
Like a group therapy session.
It would have been great. You have to go through one with the psychiatrist on the way out the door anyways, just to let them go home. Did you have to do that?
Yeah, it was not helpful at all. I just cried the whole time and said, Reed needs to still be in the show.
Yeah.
The whole time. I just cried about Reed.
Now,
problem.
I walked in because I didn't want to win. Who wanted to win? It was like a contract that, you were going to get screwed out of everything.
That's all the shows.
And so, like, everybody just wants the same amount of exposure and they don't want to win. I'm not saying that I had the coveted space because the $100,000 that they give you on top of that would have been nice.
Right.
But I just walked into that psychiatrist's office and just sat down. And he was like, "Do you feel good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going home." Like, I've spent 4 months in this freaking hotel room, started dating somebody that I'm no longer interested in because this whole experience has just run this into the ground. Like,
I'm so excited for him.
No. But it was wonderful, but it became such a, I was asked to sing a song for Fan Week, Perfect by Ed Sheeran. And they're like, oh, we think this would be great if you dedicated it to Liv, who was also on the show, who I dated, Jillian, just to fill you in.
Oh, got it.
And then the stories just became about Britton and Olivia. And then I was like, oh, that's just ruined this whole thing for me, because it was like my one slice of normalcy. This person I met before the show even premiered, we had gone through it together, and our shared trauma, and we had gone through it together. And then it was kind of like, and now this publication is writing about, Britton and Olivia. And she's showing up in all these YouTube videos about my net worth. It is Britton's single. Oh, and Britton has a girlfriend. Those stupid automated robot videos that they make about any minor celebrity's net worth. And then in every interview, I was getting asked about, your girlfriend. What does your girlfriend think of this? And I'm like, you know what? This doesn't feel like it's my relationship anymore. Right. You know what I mean? And so, like, I just realized this. If this is great,
No,
this is so
Jill actually
cathartic.
had a very similar experience on American Idol, actually.
That's why I kind of whispered to her. I was like, oh my God, it was me. And, like, same thing. We met during Hollywood Week, but the show hadn't even aired yet. But
Right.
we happen to have literally the exact same guitar and the exact same pickup. And we were just like, oh my God, is that Taylor J.S. It's even mahogany and it has an LR back. Like, we were just
Right.
geeking out with each other. And then we fell in love as one does. And
Right.
then as the show went on, it was just that's all it became. Like, after I ended up getting cut because they had us sign in. It's a long story. I'm gonna not do that part. But